Hey Fit Vegans in the making, I hope you're doing great. So I'm here in social confinement, social isolation, frankly, because we still battle the coronavirus epidemic. And I thought it would be a great video to take a time out and talk about four things that we can learn from this coronavirus pandemic. We can learn and take away these four things because history has a case of repeating itself. And there's a saying that if you learned one thing from history, is that we did not learn anything from history, so to speak. So while this might be true for the collective, while this might be true for the civilization, society, I don't want this to be true for the individual. So here's four things that we can learn from this coronavirus pandemic. Let's just jump right into it. Number one. This is what I've seen in the last couple of weeks. A lot of people right now, they're getting into a healthy lifestyle, getting into healthy habits, which is great. But I wonder why did it take a pandemic for us to realize that health is important, to get ready now, when the better solution is simply to stay ready. Don't get ready, stay ready. You should have this pandemic now as a guiding light for you to have healthier habits in the future. And do not wait for an emergency for you to get ready, but to simply stay ready year round. Have healthy habits in place and constantly take care of your body and your immune system. So this was number one, stay ready. Number two is that we as a civilization, we as a society should realize that the cost of staying the same is higher than the cost of change. And this is regarding our animal farming practices. We should realize right now that we should really make a change regarding our factory farming habits, our wet markets, and China realized this and just shut down a 71 billion industry, which is really damn awesome. So we should realize right now that the cost of change is way less than the cost of staying the same, because this lockdown has huge impacts on the economic capacity of countries. So I think in the future we will see some changes regarding our animal farming practices with a higher shift to plant-based meats. And this is the good news, this shift will probably go faster right now than it did before we had this global pandemic. The third thing that we should take away and that we learn from this coronavirus pandemic is just general compassion. And this is for people that, for example, for refugees that flee war-struck lands, and also for compassion for people that we depend on. For example, healthcare workers, garbage collectors, supermarket clerks. These are all very important tasks in this machinery that we call civilization. And I think as a general, if we just go on our day without an emergency, so to speak, we don't really see how important these tasks are. And we're on a rush and we pass by a garbage collector, for example, or a healthcare nurse. We don't really pay attention, but right now this should really have more compassion. And also like this, a classic scenario is just, for example, refugees from Africa in Switzerland, and people don't really have compassion for these people, sadly, because we don't understand how it really feels like to be in a country that has a war and then you flee into a better country. But what we see right now with the coronavirus pandemic is that a lot of people flee actually the countries or the places where they have coronavirus or which is not ready for coronavirus. I'm right now here in Bali, and almost 90% of tourists have left simply because they realized that this is not a good place to be in at this moment in time, for them. So we should have more compassion with people that are in similar circumstances than we are, or based on war or pandemic. The fourth takeaway, the fourth learning, and this is next to number one of staying ready. This is the most important thing for you right here, is to simply realize that life is what you make it. So based on the pandemic, I've seen globally, or in generally, I've seen two responses. Number one, people is they see the pandemic as an excuse to absolutely drop in a hole and drop all their healthy habits and just do nothing and be depressed for the next couple of months. So this is type number one. And then we have type number two, which even though there's a pandemic going on, there's a panic going on, there's emergency going on, they keep doing their stuff. And I tell you here that number two is way better off than number one. So really you have to realize that life is what you make it. And if you're just searching for an excuse in outer circumstances why you don't get your work done, even from home, or why you don't improve yourself, then frankly, you have a very low chance of ever getting what you truly want in life. So I tell you that life is what you make it. And if you want to achieve your goals, then you need to be type number 2. That even though there are negative circumstances going on, you still keep on the track to where you want to go. Okay, guys, these were the 4 learnings that I've learned from coronavirus. I really hope you could take some takeaways here and learn something too. And I hope to see you next time. Until then.